The first item on our agenda for this evening
Trustee Sutton Kennedy.
Present.
Trustee Fields.
Here.
Trustee Townsend.
Present.
Trustee Goodrich, I am here. Trustee Lee.
Present.
Trustee Hawkins.
I am present. We apologize. We are having a few technical difficulties, so please bear with us. The next item on our agenda for this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd like to invite members of the public and all those present for our meeting to join us in reciting of the pledge. Sharon Schoen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, while we work out some of our technical difficulties, this is a special meeting this evening. We have newly elected board members. Actually,
All right, how do okay, so I'm loud and I'm echoing. Try it again. All right, I want to try to get this right because people are probably going to film and you want to have a copy of this. So I'll keep talking until you can try to get me not echoing. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you to do this swearing in. And today I have 3 trustees that I'm swearing in, Dr. Celeste Hawkins, Don Epsy, and Felicia Sutton. I always tell people when I come to these events to swear people in that I do a lot of work that does not involve positive stuff. But today I get to do one of the 3 positive things that I get to do in my role. One of those is to perform marriages. The other is to perform expungements. And then there's this one, to perform swearing in ceremonies. And I was telling someone earlier about this, that when I first started in this role, I've only been a judge for 4 years now, and I'm going into my 5th. When I first started in this role, the first swearing in ceremony that I performed was for Ypsilanti Community Schools. So the reason I say that is because education is so important. And I remember the first time I did this, I was so extremely nervous about being here and performing. And through you, I was educated in that process. What you do here in terms of educating our children is so extremely important. I always give this speech about an oath, like being a part of a marriage ceremony. And it's true for you too. When you take this oath, you are swearing and giving an oath to the community, to the students, and to the public at large that you are going to do your best to ensure that these children get the best education that they can get. And so at this point in time, it is my honor to ask. So we're going to do it in order. I believe that we want to do it individually tonight, and I'm very, very excited to have that opportunity. So I'm going to start in the order that it was given to me. So Dr. Celeste Hopkins, if you would please stand and raise your right hand to take the oath of office. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education for Ypsilanti Community Schools in Washtenaw, Michigan, according to the best of my ability. Thank you. You are now sworn in. All right, Dawn F.C. Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of Board of Education of the Ypsilanti Community School, Washtenaw, Michigan, according to the best of my abilities. Congratulations. Right. And last but not least, Miss Talisha Sutton Kennedy. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of Board of Education of Ypsilanti Community Schools, Washtenaw, Michigan, according to the best of my abilities. Congratulations, everybody. And again, thank you for the opportunity to do this. I absolutely love it.
evening, Superintendent and board members and trustees. Thank you. We have our wonderful students and parents here tonight. If our parents will please stand, and thank you for bringing your students here tonight. And our wise scholars, would you please come on up.
Hello, my name is Mavis Stark. Point of pride number 1. Fourth graders went on a fun adventure as a part of the Nature Awaits program at Waterloo Recreation Area. They went hiking with the friendly DNR naturalist who taught them all about the state parks. The students learned that these parks belong to everyone, reflecting the inclusive nature of everyone. We are learning environmental stewardship. We are excited to make the school a welcoming place in the 2025 school year. Both teachers and students will participate in training and development to learn about making our community fair and supporting for everyone. This means understanding different races and supporting our LGBTQ+ community. This will help us all understand and foster an inclusive environment.
Hello, my name is Milo Sears. Point of pride number 3. The third grade classes held a health fair where they were demonstrated ways to stay healthy in mind, body, and soul. The whole school community, including students, teachers, and families, took part in displays, activities, and learned about fitness, mindfulness, good food, and being positive. It was just what WISE needed.
Hello, my name is Maya Laurie, point of pride number 4. We are pleased with the success of our whole school recycling program. It teaches us how to take care of Earth by reducing waste and keeping our school clean. By recycling together, we can learn teamwork and help make the world a better place for all future generations.
Hello, my name is Sophia Tubeng. Point of pride number 5. The fifth grade class recently hosted their first school-wide holiday market, which was a great success. They came up with innovative ideas and created a space where students, staff, and parents could shop for handmade and donated items. All the funds raised will go toward their fifth grade camp, and the students are very proud of their accomplishments.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Boyd. Point of Pride 6. Our partnership with EMU continues to grow. We've started with the volleyball team, and now we also have the women's basketball, women's gymnastics, and football team. These sports teams help our students engage in literacy and learning activities, making school and learning even more fun and engaging for the students.
Point of pride number 7. WISE continues to increase in enrollment annually, with 13.51% of current students coming back to the district after previously attending other public schools, charter schools, or learning through homeschooling or virtual programs. This increase suggests that more families are choosing to return, which would reflect growing confidence in what WISE has to offer.
Thank you.
Dr. Zachary Ross, before you go any further, this is beautiful. And I just want to say, my 7-year-old granddaughter and I have this little silver tray that we make our board on. We are going to love this. I'm letting you know. Oh my goodness. She's gonna come over, she's gonna say, yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Cause she be making it, boy. She be cutting up that cheese and that meat. Oh my God. This is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Yep, I think it's good. Perfect. That now takes us to item 4 on our agenda, which is the acceptance of the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Zachary Ross, go ahead.
Each year, we know at the organizational meeting, the board is committed to sharing the mission statement with the community. When we were looking towards the long-term planning, they worked with Mary Kerwin to revisit this plan, this mission statement with the community, and your input was invaluable. So the YCS mission statement, the purpose of Ypsilanti Community Schools is to develop mindful, engaged students with the skill set, work ethic, and attitude to contribute to a community that honors diversity, equity, and justice.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Zachary Ross. Now that takes us to item 4, which is the acceptance of our agenda. At this time, I would like to invite a board member to offer a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
President Hawkins, Trustee Lee, move that the Board of Education accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Supported by, thank you, supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to public comments for this evening. Ms. Haynes, have any public comment cards come in? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ms. Haynes. Next, that takes us to item 6, which is the election of our acting chairperson and the appointment of our temporary secretary as the Board of Education moves into the organizational portion of our meeting for this evening. At this time, we would like to have a motion to nominate Dr. Zachary Ross to serve as acting chairperson for this organizational meeting. May I have a board member offer a motion?
President Hawkins, Trustee Lee moved to nominate Superintendent Dr. Zachary Ross to serve as acting chairperson for this organizational meeting.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Dr. Zachary Ross, our superintendent, from this point forward until all the organizational meeting business has been concluded, will serve as the acting chairperson. Dr. Zachary Ross, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. At this time, I hereby appoint Ms. Julie Haynes to serve as temporary secretary until such time as the secretary of the Board of Education has been elected. We will now move to the annual organizational meeting and begin with learning who has an interest in serving as president of the board. I will recognize each trustee with an interest and ask each to share your level of interest and assets that you bring to the role of president. After each interested trustee has spoken, I will request that you trustees will name the person you would prefer to serve as president for this year. Are there any persons interested in serving in the role of president?
Dr. Zachary Ross, I would be interested in serving as president for this year.
Thank you, Trustee Hawkins. Will you please share your level of interest and assets that you bring to the role of president?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. I am interested in continuing to serve in the role as president because I have a number of deep passions for this district, and I have served on this board for a number of years. I would consider myself organized, dependable, compassionate, enthusiastic, a collaborator, and a leader in this district. And I am humbled to be able to not only serve in this community, but also to have the board members who I serve with, their confidence and support as I have been in this role.
We've accomplished a great deal since I've been serving in this role as president, and I look forward to all that we will continue to accomplish in the years ahead. Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Trustee Hawkins. Are there any other trustees interested in serving in the role as president? Are there any other trustees interested in serving in the role as president? And finally, the third time, are there any other trustees interested in serving in the role as president? Seeing none, others? Put her name in. And remember, trustees, each trustee will be called to identify the name of the trustee that of your preferred candidate for preference. This will obviously, we don't have to narrow the poll. However, once the majority has support for the position, we will stop the roll call when we have a majority, which is four, for that single candidate after Ms. Haynes calls the names. And that person will be when we have majority support. So we have, well, we'll have the majority already. So we'll put down Trustee Hawkins. May I have a motion for Trustee Hawkins to be president for the 2026, 25, 20, whatever, until the 2026 organizational meeting? May I have a motion?
Superintendent Zachary Ross, I move that Trustee Hawkins serve as the president of the Board of Education until the 2026 organizational meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Goodrich. Is there support?
Support, Trustee Lee.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. So I have a motion from Trustee Goodrich, and I have support from Trustee Lee that Trustee Hawkins serve as president until the 2026 organizational meeting. Any discussion on this item? Not, may I have a roll call vote, Ms. Haynes?
Dr. Celeste Hawkins.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have Dr. Celeste Hawkins serve as president until the 2026 organizational meeting. Congratulations, President Hawkins.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Next, who has an interest in serving as vice president of the board?
Dr. Zachary Ross. Trustee Lee, I do.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. Please share your level of interest and the assets that you bring to the role of vice president.
I've been serving on the Board of Education for 11 years. For 3 of those years, I've been vice president on the Board of Education. I also have served on a lot of committees. I am available to fill in whenever there's necessary need. I am proud of all the accomplishments that we have as a board as a whole has accomplished. And I feel like I am ready to move forward with the new members on the board. And I look forward to all the accomplishments that we will continue to achieve on this Board of Education.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. Are there any other persons who are interested in serving as vice president of the board? Are there any other persons interested in serving as vice president of the board? And finally, are there any other persons that serving as vice president of the board? Seeing none, we will move and add Vice President Lee's name here, and I will ask if there's someone who's interested in providing and nominating her or providing a motion.
Are you ready for the motion, Dr. Zachary Ross?
Yes, I am.
I nominate Vice President Lee to serve as Vice President until the 2026 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there someone to provide support for that motion?
Dr. Zachary Ross, I second.
And that-
Trustee Espy.
All right. I have a nomination from Trustee Hawkins and with support from Trustee Espy that Trustee Lee serve as Vice President until the 2026 organizational meeting. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none?
I have no discussion. I have a question
Yes.
though. Since we're on, since the four have to say yes, do you have to read them all? If you do the top four?
Because we only have one candidate.
Right, so, yeah, but when you do that, you just have to do the first four, or do you have to read all of them?
No, not if
And
we
at
don't
all.
have the four.
Yeah, correct,
I
because
mean,
you
if
did
we
it
if
last
we don't
time, that's
have
why I was
any other,
asking.
yep,
Okay,
since we don't have
yep.
any other candidates.
Okay, I just make sure, because last time we read them all, and you don't
Yeah,
have to.
if we have
Okay.
two, we do have to.
Right,
Yep, if we have two, we're gonna have to.
just trying to save you some time, because you went through all of them, and I
Yep,
just.
oh,
think-
we have,
Yeah.
but each person
Mm.
has, we have to do
The
the roll
vote, the vote,
call.
okay.
call.
Okay,
I gotta
that's the roll,
call.
that's the roll call part. Okay, I just want to be
Yeah.
clear.
And
It
if we
says,
get,
yeah.
if we do get two
Mhm.
people who run, I'm gonna have to go through, I'm gonna have to ask you for your candidates.
Yeah, which is fine, but I was just reading it, said the first four votes, and that's different than the roll call. I just want to
Yeah.
be clear. I want to
Yes.
be clear.
Yep.
Save time.
Thank All right, roll call vote.
Mhm.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mhm.
Aye.
Mhm.
Aye.
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 Here, aye.
And the motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have Trustee Lee serve as Vice President until the 2026 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Vice President Lee.
Thank you.
Next, who has an interest in serving as Secretary of the Board?
Superintendent Zachary Ross. I would be interested in serving as secretary in the coming year.
Thank you. And please share your level of interest and the assets that you bring to the role of Secretary.
I've been honored to serve as the secretary of this board for the past 3 years. And I'd be interested in serving for one more year. I'm detail-oriented and organized. I'm passionate about maintaining records and sharing and managing information. I'm good at signing things. I think that covers it.
Thank you. Are there any additional trustees who are interested in serving in the role of Secretary of the Board? Are there any other trustees interested in serving as Secretary of the Board? And finally, are there any other trustees interested in serving as Secretary of the Board? Seeing none, I'll invite a trustee to make the motion.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I nominate Trustee Goodrich to serve as secretary until the 2026 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Sutton Kennedy and support from Trustee Fields that Trustee Maria Goodrich serve as secretary until the 2026 organizational meeting. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, Ms. Haynes, could you please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have trustee Maria Goodrich serve as secretary into the 2026 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Secretary Goodrich. Thank you. Next, who has an interest in serving as treasurer of the board?
Dr. Zachary Ross, I have an interest in serving as treasurer of the board.
Thank you so much. Please share your level of interest and the assets that you bring to the role of treasurer.
I've currently served on the board since 2021. I have 25 years in banking and finance experience, 16 years in real estate. I have served as the treasurer and secretary of the Washtenaw Area School Board Association. Currently, I am the president of that board as well, and I also serve in executive leadership on 6 other boards, where I have served also as treasurer. And I have a deep passion to make sure that the district becomes or remains financially sound, and that we protect all of our assets, including those properties, real estate, as well as all of our assets, and as well as making sure that our children have the resources that they need to continue to be successful.
Thank you. Please share. Are there any other trustees who are interested in serving as treasurer of the board? Are there any other trustees who are interested in serving as treasurer of the board? And finally, are there any other trustees interested in serving as treasurer of the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Trustee Fields.
Thank you, trustee.
I nominate Janice Townsend to serve as treasurer into the 2026 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there support for this motion?
Support trustee Goodrich.
Thank you. This time, I have a motion from trustee Fields with support from trustee Goodrich that trustee Townsend serve as treasurer until the 2026 organizational meeting. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, may I please have a roll?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have trustee Janice Townsend serve as treasurer until the 2026 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Treasurer Townsend. Thank you for the opportunity to chair the organizational meeting. I now recognize President Hawkins, who will serve as chair going forward. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zachary Ross, and thank you, Ms. Haynes, for getting us through the organizational meeting portion for this evening. Board members, you will see that has now taken us to the point in our board meeting where we make our appointments for our subcommittees and also our liaison appointments. Currently, we have openings in every area, so I'm just going to go through the list to see who would have a willingness to serve. Is there someone who might be interested in serving as the parliamentarian for this year?
I guess I'll stay that.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Lee. We have an opening. We need a trustee to serve on our Head Start Policy Committee. Is there a trustee who is interested in serving on that committee?
I want to continue with that one.
Thank you, Vice President Lee. Next, we have our Legislative Relations Network designee. Is there a board member who is interested in serving in that role?
President Hawkins, I would like to express my interest, but also my willingness to open up the availability in any of my positions if we have new members who would like to serve in the places where I've been serving.
Thank you, trustee Goodrich.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I'm interested in LRN. Also,
Okay.
I'm certainly happy to have trustee Sutton Kennedy take over at LRN and advocate for us in that body.
All right, excellent. So we have, thank you so much, trustee Goodrich. And thank you, trustee Sutton Kennedy, for volunteering to serve in the role as our Legislative Relations Network designee. Next, that,
Before you go on.
yes,
Is that the one that had the meetings at 7:30 in the morning? Okay.
that was a good description. I love that. That was perfect. Just to be clear. We're crystal clear.
Okay.
Next, that takes us to number 4, which is our Washtenaw Association of School Boards representative. Is there a trustee who's interested in serving in this role?
I would be interested in serving.
Perfect.
Could I add some context on this one?
Of course.
I so appreciate how trustee Townsend has represented us and has also moved through the ranks of the executive committee there. And I know that if the pattern holds, you will continue to be in leadership as past presidents, at least through the next year. What I've been told by the WSB leadership is that we are still entitled to a regular seat if we wish, in addition to our our member who is serving as president right now. And I know we talked in our orientation meeting with the new board members about the value of getting to know the work of that body. So I just wanted to put that out there. They've been very enthusiastic about having representation from our districts. And I think would be very welcoming of 2 representatives of YCS if there were interests.
Okay. Thank you for that context, trustee Goodrich. So it sounds like we have 2 potentially board members who could serve in those roles for WASB.
For as long as trustee Townsend remains an officer.
So what days and how many times? Month.
Mhm.
Okay. Hmm. Mhm.
So in addition to trustee Townsend, is there another board member who might be interested in serving on the Washtenaw Association of School Boards as a representative?
I am.
Any other board members interested?
I'm interested as well, trustee Espy.
Okay. Y'all can arm wrestle for it.
Let me see how many other ones I end up.
I have a clarification. So I technically don't have to.
You don't.
Right.
If-
Okay. Well, I respectfully rescind.
Right, right.
Well, in that case, no arm wrestle. It's all yours, Vice President Lee, and it is all yours. Oh, well, we
Yeah,
have
we
one
know I have
more.
one.
I thought because you were in a liaison. Oh, I thought we got 3.
No,
just
we-
2.
Yeah, and
She is 2.
we get 1 vote, but we can have another person there because trustee Townsend serves
So a
as
total of
leadership.
2.
Total of 2 people, 1
Total
vote.
of 2
Yep.
people.
So that'll be 2. Mhm.
You can take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
can go ahead and take it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Has it been settled?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Trustee Espy, it is all yours. Thank you. Next, that takes us to the Ypsilanti Foundation. We need for our board liaison, we need a trustee to serve in this role. Is there a board member who's interested in serving in that role?
Well, Well, I was interested, but I don't know if they need two people because I know she's already on there and I don't know if she has an executive position on that board too.
Not yet. We hadn't had our meeting.
Yes, yes, that's what I thought, but I said that.
Well, we appoint at this meeting every year.
Yeah.
So you all can decide how you wanna.
I'm good. I'm
But
good.
don't you aren't you on the executive board there as well?
I
That's right.
think I'm just the board liaison right now.
I thought you did something else though, but that's the only reason as if they needed to, but I thought you were, so that's the only reason I said that.
Well, you
I
can
don't
be a board liaison
Yeah.
and also hold an executive
executive
leadership
position,
position as the board liaison.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't know if they need to. That's what, only reason I said that, and I knew she was. So if they only have one, you can just keep it.
Right, yeah, so
Mhm.
I may continue in a different capacity
Okay.
Yeah.
because I know they're gonna have
Mhm.
a transition and we're working on some stuff right.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
So Vice,
Okay.
I mean,
I'm okay.
so trustee Townsend, you would be interested in continuing in the role for the foundation? Or are you saying that you're stepping back?
Well, I think like they're gonna be having some executive positions opening up,
Okay.
so that could be separate, I believe. Would I be able to still to serve in that capacity? I'm just asking.
Separate from the board?
Yes, so like they still would have.
Like
I wish I
WHP.
had, I know, I would have talked to them, man.
I'm fairly certain that the foundation board would welcome working members. I don't want to speak for their leadership.
I don't want to. I don't know if we can do that. That's what I'm saying. So,
Okay.
Well, let's have her stay until they find out.
yeah, well,
Mhm.
yeah, I'll
Just stay until they
I
find
can
out for
stay
sure,
now,
till there's
yeah, we'll
clarification.
figure it out.
And we can always add
Yeah.
another board member if needed,
Right,
if you can do, kind of serve in a dual capacity.
correct.
Okay.
I just want to get clarification. from
Okay,
them.
can you let us know?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I have trustee Townsend as the Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison, and if we need to make any adjustments, we'll do that at a later date. Next, we have the Michigan Association of School Boards Convention Delegate and Alternate. Is there a board member interested and willing to serve as the delegate? And is there a board member interested and willing to serve as the alternate?
I'll be the delegate again, as you guys all stare at me.
Oh,
You guys looking at me like
I-
that, but no, I'll do it.
you've done such a wonderful job, trustee Fields.
Yes, but okay, I'll do it.
Thank you. Who would like to serve as the alternate? We appreciate you serving in that role, trustee
Mhm.
Fields.
Townsend knows she coming. I don't know why she
I
over there.
know.
Like, well, I don't know why she ain't saying nothing.
I'm just waiting.
Got a kid now.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy. I'll sign up to be the alternate.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Trustee Sutton Kennedy. I have you down in that role as the alternate. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. Next, that takes us to number 7, which is our coordinated school health team appointee. Is there a trustee interested in serving in that role?
Trustee Fields, I need a little bit more background on it though, but I would have an interest.
You-
What's that?
Mhm. You are interested, you said, trustee Fields?
Yeah, I just want some more background. Don't we have I thought we have something a little bit, give me a little bit more. Okay. And- Okay, just let me know, I'm sure. And are you over that? Oh, so I'm gonna be good.
So just confirming trustee Fields, that's a yes.
Mm.
Thank you. So we have trustee Fields serving is in the role as the coordinated school health team representative. And lastly, we have the sex education advisory board representative. Is there a trustee interested in serving in that role?
Trustee Espy. I'm interested in serving in that role.
Great, thank you, trustee Espy. All right, now we'll move into our subcommittee appointments. And each of our subcommittees can have up to 1 to 3 members. So the first committee or subcommittee is our policy subcommittee. Which board members might be interested in serving on the policy subcommittee?
President Hawkins, this is trustee Goodrich. I would be interested in serving again on the policy subcommittee. And if it's not out of line, I'll volunteer at this point that I would be willing to chair that committee for the next year.
Thank you so much, trustee Goodrich. Any other board members interested in serving on the policy subcommittee? I will continue to serve in that role. Is there another trustee who's interested?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy. I'm
Thank
interested.
you. So we have trustee Goodrich serving as our chair, trustee Hawkins, and trustee Sutton Kennedy. Next, we have the Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee. Are there board members interested in serving on this subcommittee?
President Hawkins, I would be interested in still serving as the chair.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have trustee Townsend, who is continuing to serve in this important role. Are there other board members who might be interested in serving on the Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee?
Trustee Fields.
Thank you. Any other board members interested? All right, I will continue to serve in that role as well. Next, that takes us to, thank you, trustee Townsend, who will serve as the chair. We have trustee Fields and trustee Hawkins, who will serve on the Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee. Next, that takes us to the Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee. Are there trustees who are interested in serving on this committee?
I am. Vice President Lee.
Thank you, Vice President Lee.
President Hawkins?
Yeah.
I would also be interested in continuing on that subcommittee, but additionally, I'm willing to make space for new trustees who might wish to work in that area.
Perfect. Thank you, Vice President Lee and trustee Goodrich. Other board members interested in serving on this committee?
Trustee Espy. I would be willing to serve on that committee.
Right. Excellent. We have 3 board members who would be.
I'm sorry, who was chair last?
I think I've served as chair of that subcommittee. So seeing as though we have 3 board members who are interested in serving, among you, which one of you would be interested in serving as the chair?
I would have an interest in serving. This is certainly one of the areas that I'm deeply invested in.
Okay. So that's a yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, trustee Goodrich. All right, we have trustee Goodrich serving as the chair, and we have Vice President Lee, and we have trustee Espy. Thank you all so much. And lastly, we have our Community Relations Subcommittee. What board members might be interested in serving on this subcommittee?
Trustee Fields would like to chair the Community Relations Subcommittee.
And Vice President Lee.
All right.
Trustee Townsend.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much for continuing in these important roles. So we have trustee Fields serving as the chair, Vice President Lee, and trustee Townsend. Thank you, board members, for your commitment, for your service in these important roles as we continue to move the district forward. Okay, so just as a note, and I'm going to go through and read all of the positions again so that we remember, and then Ms. Haynes is always gracious enough to send these appointments out in case we leave the meeting and forgot what we signed up for. We'll get it in our email so we know what our roles and responsibilities are. We will not have a school culture and discipline subcommittee this year. And we will continue to have our regular updates and continue to have discussions and dialogues throughout the year about where we are in this area. So in I just want to recap everything that we've done before we take a motion. The parliamentary for the board will be Trustee Lee. Head Start Policy Committee the parliamentarian will be Vice President Lee. The Head Start Policy Committee liaison will be Vice President Lee. The Legislative Relations Network designee will be Trustee Sutton Kennedy. The Washtenaw Association of School Boards representative will be Trustee Townsend. The Ypsilanti Foundation Board liaison will be Trustee Townsend, and if we need to make adjustments, we will. The Michigan Association of School Boards Convention Delegate and Alternate will be Trustee Fields serving as the delegate. The alternate will be Trustee Sutton Kennedy. The Coordinated School Health Team appointee will be Trustee Fields. The Sex Education Advisory Board liaison will be Trustee Espy. On our subcommittees, we have Policy Subcommittee, our chair, Trustee Goodrich. President Hawkins and Trustee Sutton Kennedy will also serve on the Policy Subcommittee. The Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee, Trustee Townsend will serve as the chair. That committee will also consist of Trustee Fields and Trustee Hawkins. The Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee will be chaired by Trustee Goodrich, Vice President Lee, and Trustee Espy will also serve on that committee. And lastly, our Community Relations Subcommittee will be chaired by Trustee Fields and Vice President Lee, and Trustee Townsend will also serve on that committee. At this time, is there a motion?
President Hawkins, may I ask a point of clarification?
Sure.
For the, I believe what we came to the conclusion in the Washtenaw Association of School Boards was that Trustee Townsend is as the board president of the Washtenaw Area Association of School Boards, would not technically be the trustee representative from the board. And that in fact I would be.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep.
That is
Yeah.
correct. I just don't have your name written down. There must have been lots of discussion. Okay, I got you.
So the Washtenaw Association of School Boards representative would be myself, Trustee Espy.
Yes,
All right.
yes. Thank you so much, Trustee Espy, for pointing that out. Yep, I have Townsend's name. I think we had discussion, and then ultimately you were appointed to serve in that role. Okay, so for the Washtenaw Association of School Boards, the representative is going to be Trustee Espy. Thank you again for that correction. Anything else? Does everything else sound like what we agreed to as a board in terms of our liaison appointments and our subcommittees? All right, is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Goodrich, I move that the appointments you just articulated of board representatives be approved and in effect until the next organizational meeting in January 2026.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Goodrich. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you again, board members, for your service and getting us through this part of our organizational meeting. Next, that takes us to item 8, which is our request for a closed session. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education convene in closed session under Section 8H of the OMA, attorney-client privileges.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion? Thank you. Supported by Trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. The Board of Education will convene in closed session at 7:34. We will leave and go to another room and come back to finish the board business. Mhm. The time is 8:27. The Board of Education is back in open session. The next item on our agenda is a presentation. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I will ask our consultant from SJ Apple, Dr. Narcisse, to please come. We know that the board worked with SJ Apple to provide our community stakeholders with opportunities to give feedback towards the district 5-year strategic plan. And we are happy to have them to come to provide information for us and give us the feedback, the initial feedback from their interactions with our community stakeholders. Thank you, Dr. Narcisse.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. You guys.
Yep.
Good. Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. We appreciate it. I have some copies for the board. All right. Madam President, Superintendent, board members, we are just super excited about sharing the draft of this form. And the reason I call it a draft is because it is an ongoing document. A strategic plan is never done in a system. And we have also, there's 2 additional board members. And so we want to be able to get the opportunity to engage in conversation with you guys as well coming on the board. But we're really excited. SJ Apple, we're just really humbled at first. Thank you for the opportunity for us to even do the strategic plan, but it's great to work in a district where there's forward thinking and trying to do a lot of things for kids. And we're just excited about that opportunity. One thing I did want to share was one of the things that we really pride ourselves is to try to make sure that we do a lot of engagement. And I mean a lot. We spoke to so many folks in the district. I see you got leaders in here. We spoke to educators. You name the folks, we spoke to them. And so, because the reality is a strategic plan is not only for the school system, but it's also for the community. We believe that in order to move the system forward, as Dr. Zachary Ross talked about, is trying to get the community to buy in, make sure they understand where they're going and all those things. And you guys are doing a lot of great work and also forward thinking around where we are. So I'm going to go through some notes, but I'm going to show you some cool things first. So we have a little video we're going to share with you. The reason I want to share the video is for 2 reasons. Number one, you guys are doing some cool stuff around AI, which the kids talked a lot about in all the engagement of the schools and those things. So we wanted to try to, match the kids a little bit because, as you know, when you talk to students around, the students or the scholars around that work, they love to tell you about how to do things. So we thought it was pretty cool to share some of that with you. So we have a video that we'll put up for you. I promise you, we rehearsed the video. It works. Now, let me just say about the video. Yes, let me say, so we were going to put Dr. Ross as the avatar, but I'm giving away a little bit of this, but we put somebody, but we had some cool stuff we were going to do. So we're going to show you this video. Got it? Okay.
This is the draft. I was saying, are they gonna make that new? That's what they were saying.
No, not barely.
Want to bring I could bring the microphone.
It's the volume on the system as opposed to the volume on that.
Powered by AI. This video, as well as the YCF strategic plan, are both anchored in innovation and moving our district forward. Ypsilanti Community Schools is committed to providing an equitable and inclusive learning environment where all scholars, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, or learning style, have the opportunity to thrive. Not just a goal. It is a fundamental principle that guides all of our decisions and actions. Our priorities for this strategic plan are bold and clear. The world our scholars will inherit will be very different. We want them to succeed. AI is expected to add $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. These priorities ensure that we will support our scholars all the way. We are laying the foundation today. As scholars embody the YCS portrait of a graduate, they will shape their future as prepared thinkers, innovators, and collaborators. This plan represents an investment in Ypsilanti's future. Over the next 5 years, we are dedicated to fostering a dynamic environment that prioritizes experiential learning aligned with our strategic goals. We warmly invite you to engage with the new strategic plan. It is available on our district website and at each school. Read it, share it, and discuss it with others. Most importantly, we invite you to become an active participant in this exciting journey. Your involvement is vital in the lives of our scholars. Let's do this together. We are Ypsilanti. We are stronger today, stronger tomorrow, stronger together.
So when you actually hear without the sound effects, I promise you it's cool. So, but we can send you the video.
Just turn this mic on. I know
Okay.
this
All right. But we can share that video with you. But the point is, the reason we set it up that way is for you to kind of see a little bit about where you are in terms of the type of future ready work that you're doing. As you know, the school district, in all of our engagement, not only with what was going on in the school district, but you're also preparing a workforce to getting kids to be in a much very accelerated pace. And you've been working towards doing that. And so I'm going to walk you through just some high level stuff in the current plan that we have. And then I'll take you a little bit of questions to kind of anchor us a little bit where we are. So if you go down through the document, I'll just highlight a few things. You'll see if you go down in the draft of page 6, we put down what about your projected growth as you're going. We worked a lot with all your departments around where you are because you're doing such great work around that work. As I shared with you before, kind of our process, we did community surveys, talked to focus groups, did town halls, school site council meetings. We talked to many of your scholars in a number of sets of schools. We talked from university folks to community organizations that we had conversation. around. And we also did some of that also with some of your school leaders in the room too, to get a good sense around how they interacted with those pieces. One of the things that we believe a lot is we did a lot of focus groups. And the reason we do more focus groups is because you can actually hear what somebody's going to tell you and interpret what that means and how they feel about it from the start to the end. And also we asked about how do they engage with schools and how they wanted kids to see the future of that, to see what that alignment would be. One of the things that is the main driver that we've heard through a lot of different stakeholders was the word of equity and your commitment to that. So you're going to see in the document an equity statement that is your statement around how you see the work. And so we align that to all of your variations of goals that you have in that work. Through your vision and your mission in that work. In your plan, there's also a theory of action, that you're going to see in there. It talks about all your programming from accelerated learning to the innovation of high standards, how kids interpret the work, how the community engages in that, from the variations of offerings that you have. And you have a lot of different set of offerings we believe is outstanding, and how you measure growth for that as you're building for a future for kids to succeed. We also, as you go down, you'll have your portrait of a YCS graduate. And if I wanted to highlight some things that make you a little bit different, we get to work now with a few districts across the country. You talk about this around, you want your learners to be leading learners, to be curious, reflective thinkers around the work that you've done. The three areas that you'll see throughout the document is around accelerating for academic work, future readiness, which you heard that a lot. How do we prepare students to not only be future workers, but future leaders, which I think is a very different approach. You heard that a lot, not only from educators, but from school leaders and also community partners that you had, whether it was community-based organizations to university folks, trying to work in alignment in that process. And then the other part, which I know the board works a lot on, is trying to make sure that you have equitable access to resources. You vote on a budget. So I tell folks, don't have to tell me what you believe in, your budget will tell you that, right? And so we talked a lot about what that looks like. The key thing also is you're going to see we have what they call a 5-year outlook statement. One of the guiding works that we talked about was wanting to make sure that you're clear about where your next projection and where you're trying to go, not only with your programs, but you're engaging with the community and also your programs such as your multilingual. You are a tremendously diverse community, which means you have to do a lot of things for a lot of different folks, right? And accelerating them into that is really important. But one of the most important that the clear focus that you have is you're clear about your outcome of kids' progression in your process and your schools, which I think makes it a very strong space with your STEAM initiatives, IB frameworks. The other part you're going to see is there are 3 major priorities, and in the priorities, we wrote down specific goals. Those goals are from your MyKIP plan. Right? And the reason that you have those goals is notice that we matched up each of your goals with your equity pledge. And the reason that's important because every decision that you make is based on making sure that your goals connected to what you're trying to accomplish from an equity standpoint. And that's the beautiful thing. Your strength is your diversity and your approach to making sure that no matter what child comes into your school system, you are able to make sure that you can deliver for a great outcome at the end of that. And so you're going to see that component for priority. So we were very specific about the type of goals, which will help your teachers and departments around where to set. So if you notice, it says goal 1.1, increase the percentage of scholars reading at above a grade level. So it helps to direct when you start to allocate your resources and say, we want to accelerate reading in particular here, you should be able to start being able to measure that. What we say, what gets measured gets done. And so that helps a lot of that part of the work. And so you'll see those each priority is broken down into each of those levels. So you'll see where it says MyKIP alignment. And then when you look at where it says team management, bias-free hiring process, all those components, that's from your actual blueprint. Your blueprint is aligned to how you do things in your system. And so you'll see that in each of the priority areas, which helps for clarity. The beautiful thing about a strategic plan, it helps you cross a bridge, we say, right? And that bridges to help that you're aligning the school system all the way through. One of the things that Dr. Zachary Ross talked a lot about is make it make sense, make sure people understand it, and more importantly, make sure we can be able to say, if we get this done, we can see how the community is connected to that as we work with the board on continue to move that work forward. And so you'll see that same model in priority 2. Where we talk about advancing future ready preparedness. We were really excited about this because the reality, folks, is in most places we've worked, they always talk about what they either are not doing or how do you fix something. You guys were talking about how we're going to get them to a particular high level benchmark, which helps to coincide the organization to move forward. And I credit the superintendent and the board for thinking in that way. That helps as you think about programs, alignment, policies, whatever you're putting in place on how you continue to help your district move focus. I want to always align you to notice that you have goals in there so you can literally be specific in that process. As Dr. Zachary Ross always shares, wanted to have clear targets on how you're moving that work. You'll see the same setup as you did for priority 1, always align to your MyKIP for the state. And then the next alignment is based also on your blueprint that guides that work. The last part I'm just going to highlight for you, if you notice, if you go down to your page 20, in your page 20, it will say, they call it we called it your keys to success. Okay. In your keys to success, if you notice that first key that we highlight says driving success through leadership and collaboration. We were able to not only talk from executive teams to leaders or teacher leaders or coaches, even in your system, but the leadership and collaboration that happens is a key thing to making sure that you're moving the marker in your variations of schools across the system so scholars can get access of what they need to move the work forward. The other part I wanted to highlight also is your strategic resource alignment and adaptability. As you know, as board members, you play a tremendous role in that because you have to vote yay or nay on those things. And that alignment should help you as you look at your strategic plan and making sure that it's towards these set of goals that you're trying to see outcomes for over the future and progress in the school system. And then we call it our 4 key stages of success. Sustainability, you want to make sure whatever that you're doing has a return on investment on it. It's important that you are able to have anything that you invested, that it's not a one-time thing. It's something that goes beyond all of us, that it's a continuous for the community and the students. And then we started to also talk about implementation. This is where, whether you are a school leader in the school system, educators, parent, that everything happens around how it's actually implemented and implemented with fidelity so it can happen at a great level for success. Then on the last page, as we always say, folks, we have to thank all the people we got to bother because we sat down and we listened and listened and listened and listened. And our approach to the work is always to ask questions and let people talk. You can get a lot by just letting them talk. And then we would group and categorize as a systematic approach we do around language to make sure how many themes they said or what did they do. Or sometimes we watch people in the room debate about how to get to the goal, which we think is great too. But the great thing is you have folks coming from all over. And so their perspective on how they think about the work and how, whether you were talking to parents on how they want children to go through the system, or whether you're talking to partners, how they see the investment that they're doing for making sure success happen, or how you think about the leadership team, how they support school leaders, or school leaders are talking about how they support educators. We had all those variations of groups having those conversations and with your program heads on what they were doing to kind of accomplish. And so I just gave you Cliff Note version of a whole lot of work, but we were really excited to be able to present this draft. What we think is really important that you get out of it is it's a plan that is engaging for many. We got a lot of voices, and as you can imagine, we also saw common themes. We also saw themes where folks said, "Hey, we want to take a look at variations of work that's happening," and so we wanted to make sure we can provide an alignment as you're moving towards the future. And so that is your strategic draft. And I'm going to use draft because it's a never ending product, but also we want to talk, you may engage with new folks, board members and others around this process. The last thing I will just highlight and then take questions is We found it to be, we love working with districts like Ypsilanti just because of your disposition. When you're talking about trying to do futuristic work, one of the things that you could have heard the Avadar talk about was, there's an investment of $15.7 billion in trying to get children to be in advanced places and work. And your system is aligned to that, especially because of how the superintendent and their team and the educators are aggressive around trying to bring in advanced technology to get kids to become ahead in that work. So you're building as you're going. So we really think that's a great strategy and approach. And that is it. And I'll take any questions that you have.
Dr. Zach, I'm sorry. Dr. Vice President, oh, dang. President Hall. Yes, I do have a question, or really a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
This is fantastic. Thank you for doing the work. Did you say this was going to be on our website?
Yes. So on the avatar, we're going to talk with Dr. Zachary Ross. We wanted to show you kind of a concept because the video that we put together, for example, we can change that into any way, but it was just to show you what it could look like when it's all fully done. I mean, we'll work with the superintendent and their team around how you want it to go out to your community. But we just wanted to give you, we always want to give you, just like you did, like a future approach. I would suspect based on that is that you're going to share with everybody when you get to where you feel comfortable with the full plan. But there's multiple ways as you communicate with your communities, whether it's through multiple languages or all through video, to make sure that people understand where to connect with that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Like I said, this is fantastic. I'm loving it. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you again for this. I agree with Trustee Lee. This is awesome. I'm always excited about branding. The brand looks good. Everything is very clear. It's an easy read. I think it shows our children and our families in a positive light. We're not this community that's just downtrodden and people just think we just over here just living like whatever. I appreciate this.
Right.
It really is a nice piece of work. My question is, I know you all had talked to some people, but I don't know if this is for you or Dr. Zachary Ross. I would think in some of this conversation, like on our priorities for 3, that we have some conversation about the Resiliency Center, or having conversations with Sharissa Allen, just because of the amount of resources that come out of there to support our families. I think that would be good because no other real district in this area has such a unique concept that we have when we talk about the Resiliency Center and the amount of work that comes out of there to support our families. So that would be something I would like to see. And then maybe, I know with all of the certificates and stuff that we provide to our students, I'm always pushing for post-graduation support. So if that's somewhere down the line, because we're creating future leaders that we hope that will come back and be educators in our district. So I just think it would be good to have something later on to support our students that have those certificates to help guide them further to wherever they need to go. So hopefully we can draw them back to the district as future employees. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you added that because some people's names aren't listed. And I want to make sure that we do address that. We invited all these groups and not everybody got to talk to them. And so some people we might have to circle back to because we just invited all so everybody on cabinet, every administrator, every this. And so some of the folks weren't able to not necessarily meet with SJ Apple, even though we invited a whole big net of folks. So thank you. And that is one that certainly is important. Thank you. And I see him taking the notes because that's why we didn't want to, we know our board is certainly invested in this, and you set forth when we met at the retreat, said, this is time, the 10-year we had the 10 years and he didn't want to present like, oh, this is the, no, because we got everyone's information. And although he met with executive cabinet and they did a lot of this heavy lift in putting forth the goals and making sure to align with blueprint. And as you see, the talent, all of the directors really came back and said, how do they see themselves in the role? But then again, how does the board, what pieces do you see are missing so that it's, before it goes out, you want to make sure you're putting input to see what pieces now that we've heard from everyone. And they record, as you know, when you met, they signed the non-disclosures and recorded so that they can really hear what people said. But then as they took that digest, now as you're looking, what do you see are missing? And thank you for the new board members. You also wanted to make sure that they wanted to hear, okay, what do you see to add so that truly as you're moving for the next 5 years, that it does have that collective voice.
I have a question to tag on to that if I could. I appreciate how you highlighted that this is a draft and a living document, and I'm curious just procedurally what the sort of approximate approach is for us to give feedback and for us to make those updates, but also what sort of the midterm goal is for making sure that this, we know this isn't a set it and forget it situation. We want to be sure that we are consistently engaged with and updating this document after we finish the approximate part of this process. So I'm just curious if either of you could speak to that at all.
Well, for us, for administration, we are going to use this through our DTN work through the work that we're doing with the administrators. So I had invited, so thank you to the Davises, because I told didn't I? Everybody. I said, if you don't come to a board meeting, thank you. Come to this one, because this is going to guide our work as administrators, because this is the work. In any of the work that I've done, and then you all know the board, I know you know it. Then when I first came, I took all our plans and I said, okay, this is the work. And we have checked off basically the plans that you all had. And I'm like, okay. And then in the 5-year retrospective, I brought it back to you and said, here's what you all had. And we've done it. Here's what, and literally that is how I've guided truly the 7 years I've been here, and then was able to say in the 5-year retrospective, okay, look board, this is what you said you wanted, and this is what we've done. And that is truly how we have guided the work that the administrators do. We literally take the plan, we aligned it. That's why this is aligned with my KIP, aligned with Blueprint, because literally every single department kind of looked through and said, okay, this is what the people said, everybody. And that's, I think, why they too have just not bringing this back, because I'm like, I hope every department needs to see themselves in here too.
Sure.
And so I wanted the administrators to hear it, because we got to bring this back as well to our administrators to kind of say, okay, what's missing? Where do you see it? And then we plan on taking it. They've gotten a lot of revisions from us. And take it back. And so hopefully you'll look at it too and give us that feedback so that we can get it back to SJ Apple. And then we can have something that we can all feel good to take to the community. And we can feel like we are sharing this with everyone in the community, and we can get it back. We can have perhaps way to decide how we're going to present it to the community, as he said. And demonstrate like this is our collective voice out to the community. And then we can have our workshops as administrators and to workshop it out. Like, what are we going to do with it? Because that's I'm like excited about sharing it and breaking it out and what parts of it, because it's each of the priorities have different pieces that are exciting.
Thank you. This is really fantastic and very thorough. And it's clear that you all spent some time getting to know the district and the folks in here, even based on the way it's presented. One thing I was curious about in terms of the way that it is laid out, and maybe just for readability, if it's going onto our website, thinking about, for example, the priorities where we have the goals listed as 1.1, 1.2, which is excellent. And then I think the understanding of how those goals are connected then when you get into the MyKIP alignment is a little bit murky, I would say. It's not a clear one-to-one kind of alignment there. And so I think just adding in maybe something that says like this is connected to goal 5.1 or 5.2 and how they're connected in that way might be helpful just for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with the MyKIP and they want to understand why the goals are connected to those things.
All right.
Does that?
Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
I just wanted to also bring to the board's attention, because as we worked with SJ Apple, we kind of really pushed back on their typical process. And so I just wanted to highlight to the board and to the public that Dr. Lopez and I were pretty pushy when they typically have a 5-year, like literally in year 1, we do this, in year 2. And we're like, but for example, WISE is in the renewal stage of the IB process. And tomorrow, our high school is going through the review of the first year of the IB process for our CP program at the high school. So it's not really a year 1, right? We are a very unique district. We are starting, we're a very old district in terms of Willow Run and Ipsy, but we're year 11. We're a baby district in terms of the entire state of Michigan, where some districts are in the 100th year, celebrating a 100th year anniversary. And we're really in year 11 as Ypsilanti Community Schools. And so in a lot of our process, we can't be a year 1 in year 1 of something, because we're doing things, and with some things, we're starting year 1 of a magnet, but we just finished the grant, a full grant with what we're doing with teacher leadership. So it was so hard to be linear. And so that's why you see the 5-year outlook, because it's not linear here. Like there's a lot happening. We have the whole historic Peria project, but then we just moved back to Willow Run Middle School. Like there are so many tensions in this district. And so it was trying to understand that. And even they were talking to some of the people, and like you're talking to John, and yes, he's brand new as the facilities director, but he went to elementary school here. Like it was like all these tensions. And so I think like trying to talk to people like, yeah, but some people know things very deeply, and I think that's where you hear the keys, is making sure that as we communicate, that everybody knows in our system all the deepness, even if you're brand new. Like, so we were trying to do the nuances of, yes, a 5-year, and how do we get these priorities real deep? So we went really narrow and then tried to go deep, like make sure that it goes with our MyKIP that is very narrow, and then stay deep with the processes in terms of the blueprint.
Yeah, I'm going to second Dr. Zachary Ross. One of the things, a couple of things we are kind of proud of, a lot of us on our team are educators, so we are not, we're very nimble. So, because the reality is, what we pride ourselves on is the collaboration and feedback. What makes our lives, quite frankly, easier through the process was that your community, from educators to the leadership team, just able to collaborate and give us what they feel about the process, but also the engagement of feedback, because you know your community, right? We are taking a snapshot of data, and then we're trying to help you bridge the gap as you drive the future. And so we try to make sure, even with Dr. Zachary Ross' example, when we went through each portion of the document, that history. And so the question is like, what does that look like in your document? How you communicate with your community around that space? Because most folks are just sending their child to school, or they engage with the community just they walk in and they go, right? So you know it a little bit more intimately because you're board members, right? But there's a whole process that takes place. In order for this to be a living document, it has to be an ongoing process, right? It's not just we put it on there as a shelf, but you have to continue to review it, update it over time. You may decide we didn't get to this year for whatever reason. Maybe it's another year, right? So this is why the strategy that Dr. Zacharias talked about, it's an outlook for that, but you know that it is a part of your process to accomplish, and you have to be nimble in that process for a number of set of reasons. And so in most of our body of work that we do, we always go through that. What we are excited about is that you don't have a problem saying what's on your mind, right? So that's why we love the engagement. We do so much with the people on the ground because, as we ask them questions and they start talking. So we get to really know how they feel, how they think, what they really want to see as their future. And that helps to guide the process from there. And so we're really excited about that.
Oh, I just wanted to appreciate what you were offering. And I think absolutely when you think about the 5 years, I think that not only is the strategic plan talking about what you will do, but also celebration of the ongoing work you're doing. So I don't think that it needs to be done or laid out, at least in this capacity, at that 1-2. And I believe most of the operational type of things end up happening within your cabinet and at the administrative level. So as far as a overview and having something out for the public, this is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All of this. And then
So that's your MyKIP plan that you have there. So if you look at those numbers, that's in your actual MyKIP plan. And then where you see it say teaching and learning, that's your blueprint infrastructure. So think of it as your targets that you're wanting to accomplish, right? And then how you go about it is in the blueprint portion of that. So that's why you see the layout of the alignment, and then you go down. So because you actually submit those targets to the state. We actually interviewed the ISD superintendent who talked to and was excited about hearing this alignment. Like as I shared before, you guys are doing some really cool things, but also you're pushing towards an alignment. And so in that alone can be a little more complex as you're trying to move it together. You're a district that has, you're not 100 years, right? So you've accomplished a lot in a very short period of time, but also to the superintendent's leadership and the board trying to move that work forward to the future. We can show you thousands of strategic plans that are not doing what you're doing, right? And so, and your folks are engaged in the work, so they're okay about saying, hey, here's what we think it needs to look like, or here's how we should be thinking about it. And then we saw that theme from every group we spoke to, and that I think that is a compliment to the board and the superintendent for that. We've been in places where I hate to say this, but there'd be no comment or quiet. You got to warm them up, but we saw that there was a lot of engagement. I mean, even if you talk to your school leaders, we try to make sure we were really giving the opportunity if people can really have voice in the process, because it's very complex. And then we have to simplify that voice into simple language. So. Mhm. Yes. Yes, so we will be working with Dr. Zachary Ross and the team around additional feedback that you want for adjustments for a process. As we go through that, we'll sit through it and make adjustments. We'll also engage with additional. I know we have 2 new board members. If there's additional engagement because you haven't had an opportunity to engage, we'll work with Dr. Zachary Ross and the team around that. And then as we walk through those alignments, we'll sit down with next steps with Dr. Zachary Ross on how you want to go through your next steps on implementation or those type of things. And if you like for us to come back to help support that. Thank you. Madam President, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I know I'm the one that gets to sit and present, but it's a team of us. And, we always feel fortunate when a board gives us the opportunity with the superintendent to be able to present this work. This is exciting for us. And so we want to see you be successful. You're successful. We're successful too, because we have to brag about you. But thank you again.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approve the December 9th, 2024 regular board meeting minutes. Number 2, personnel matters as per the presented the date 1/6/2025 and new hires and resignations.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to action items. We are now at item 12, which is all of our annual organizational meeting matters. The first item is our district compliance officer's appointment. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, trustee Goodrich, I move to designate the following staff to serve as district compliance officers. 1, the assistant superintendent as 504 compliance officer, and 2, the director of human resources as district compliance officer and ADA coordinator in compliance with policy numbers 2260.01 and 4123.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Goodrich. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Townsend, support.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the Board of Education meeting schedule adoption. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Espy, I move to adopt the Board of Education meeting schedule for January 22nd, 2024 to January 27th, 2025.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Espy. Is there support for this motion?
Madam President, we have a correction on this. The dates say 24 and 25, when it should be 25 and 26.
It should, yes. Thank you so much, trustee Townsend. So that motion should read, that was read by trustee Espy, to adopt the Board of Education meeting schedule for the January 22nd, 2025 through January 27th, 2026.
Madam-
Thank you so much.
Oh, no. It's be January, it looks like we're gonna be on January 27th.
January 27th?
Yes, right?
January 27th, 2026. And January,
It should read as January 27, 2025.
12th, 2026.
Yes.
2026.
Yeah.
thank you. January 22nd.
7.
Okay, let's read this again.
So we having a board meeting on the 27th? So wait a minute. We're starting to have 2 board meetings a month now?
This is just our,
If we need it.
no, we don't, only
Okay.
if we need to.
Okay,
They're placeholders.
okay.
Okay, so I'll summarize the corrections. It's the 27th as a start date and January 12th as an end date for next year. Trustee Espy, can you read the motion, the corrected motion, please?
Yes, I want to reiterate my motion to adopt the Board of Education meeting schedule for starting on January 27th of 2025 to January 12th of 2026.
Perfect. Thank you so much. A motion was made by trustee Espy. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Townsend, support.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Townsend. Before we move to a vote, is there any discussion on the meeting schedule adoption?
I guess it's okay. If we made sure
Okay.
there's no holidays and everything. Okay. All right, I'm good.
And board members, if you have your calendars with you, if you could just take a quick look at your own calendars, either on your phone or paper calendars, to see if there are any conflicts with this schedule we're adopting or considering to adopt.
I'm noticing that cube is moving up. Why
I
would you
know.
put it on Labor Day? We're on Labor Day.
Oh, go ahead.
So board members, I put the meeting schedule on the board scorecard calendar so you could see what was placed there. President Hawkins asked that I would share not only the possible schedule, and along with it, what we typically have on the scorecard. We did have that from obviously MASB. What we have typically, this is the one pager. And these are the things that we have shared, typically what the state requires us to provide to the board and this is just, again, typically what we present to the board, along with the fact that when we received the relief from the state of Michigan, you can recall, we have to have the 3 district financial training workshops for the board. And so we put those in. Also, the board had asked for a possible workshop on communication. And so I placed those separate so that it wouldn't be taking up most of the board meeting time. And so you'll see that there are some dates that currently there are no items on a date, so if we don't have additional items, as Madam Vice President stated, if there's not a need for it, we can cancel the meeting, as we did last year when we added the 2 meetings. And that is why you have the second calendar, because there are many dates, many weeks that there are quite a few meetings in a week. And so we understand you are paid absolutely voluntary for this position that you are a part of. And so I do understand these are again, recommended just subcommittee meeting dates and the things we already know about. And so given the schedule, we didn't want to just overwhelm you. And so Julie has just kind of already put in where we already know there's a lot of dates. And so we didn't want to overwhelm board members.
Would you like information at this point if we have individual conflicts, just so you can plan for like making quorum? I know I will not be available for the June 23rd meeting, and I may not be able to make the August 4th meeting.
I also will probably not be available on the 23rd. It is a
Which
national holiday.
Which month are you guys in? Which month are you
It's my
in?
birthday.
No, Juneteenth is always.
I don't know if the 9th, those 2 topics can be combined with the 9th, or is that too much? Okay. I mean, I'll be here if I need to, but I just probably won't. I may not be in
March
town, but I can-
13th too. I have on that Thursday. You have two small groups. I'm not gonna be able to make that. I don't know
Which
which one
date?
I'm in, but March 13th. No, March 13th.
March 14th.
13th. It's a Thursday.
Okay.
On January 29th, we have a policy subcommittee meeting scheduled, and MEJC also has a training for new board members on that day. I think that one runs from 6 to 7:30. But maybe that it doesn't necessarily overlap. Let me check the time.
And those something we can't always change those. So thank you for letting us know, because we didn't have those dates. And that one is
MEJC, January 29th. It looks like it starts at 6, so as long as we wrap up, I think we should be okay with that time.
Keeping to that timeline might be challenging.
Okay. And then I also noticed that I don't see the policy subcommittee meetings after February. Are we gonna?
We don't necessarily meet every month.
Okay.
With policy. So we can. With the chair.
I have a question. For May 12th, when we have the 3-year budget projections, are we looking at doing amendments or anything then as well? Okay, so we might want to update that just to be on the safe side, so we stay on task. And the other thing is the retreat. There's no date listed there. How soon are you all going to be thinking about a date for the board retreat?
We usually just start asking you guys when you're available.
Okay.
In August.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. Okay, doke.
So I guess if you know now, if you have any conflicts, that might be helpful, but it might be too far out to.
Let me digest. I appreciate this, but let me digest.
Okay. Just let us know.
I already know in August.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have time.
I need to get my charcuterie board.
6. Well, don't make it August 6th through the 12th.
Okay.
Because I won't be here.
8/6 through 8/12. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we started saying, like, okay, let's just be realistic here.
No, I'm planned out this far. I just need to eat something.
And we can make changes, especially to all those internal. We
can.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, board? Anything else glaring or? So in summary, a motion was made by trustee Espy, and it was supported by trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to action item number 13, which are our business items, our reviews and approvals. Is there a motion for the use of our facsimile signature authorization?
Madam President, this is Trustee Goodrich. I move to authorize the Director of Business and Finance to file the necessary forms with the appropriately designated banks to use the facsimile signature of the school district superintendent on check draws of the general fund, food service fund, debt retirement fund, payroll account, student activities fund, and trust fund.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Goodrich. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the execution of contracts and signatures for documents on behalf of the district. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move to designate and limit thereto the following administrators to sign contract and other documents on behalf of the district, superintendent or designee, and Director of Business and Finance.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the bank account signatories authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move to approve the board president, superintendent, board treasurer, Director of Business and Finance and Accounting Supervisor as official signatories of bank accounts for the district.
Thank you. A motion was made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the depository for school district funds designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Townsend move that the Board of Education utilize the following financial institutions as depositories for the following funds: normal operations, deposits and withdrawals. Number one, Michigan Liquid Asset Funds Plus, MILAF Plus, Bank of Ann Arbor, and Fifth Third Bank. Bonded indebtedness paying agents, Bank of New York, Huntington Bank, and US Bank.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
Support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the electronic transfer officer designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Lee, move that the board treasurer or Director of Business and Finance be appointed as electric transfer officer, ETO, in accordance with policy number 6144.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the audit firm designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Townsend move that the Board of Education designate Yo and Yo as its auditor of the year ending June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the legal counsel designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Fields, move that the Board of Education authorize the following law firms as legal counsel for the district. Number one, Truman Law Firm, PC Retainer, and Collins and Bob, is it blah? I don't have my glasses on.
That's right.
PC.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the newspaper for bid notices and other legal postings designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Fields, move that the Board of Education designate the Ann Arbor News for bid notices and other legal postings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the meeting posting responsibilities designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Go on. Madam President, trustee Fields move that the superintendent or designee will designate or an appropriate available person to post notices of public meetings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support trustee Goodrich.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Goodrich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That takes us to our business and finance action items. We have an acceptance of the West Middle School Y-High lease for the 2025 through 2029 academic school years. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education accept the West Middle School Y-High lease for 2025 through 2029.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support trustee Townsend.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Townsend. Any discussion on this item, board? Seeing none, a motion was made by Vice President Lee, supported by trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to,
Before we go to public comment, can we go back to number 13?
which one?
Action item, organizational meeting. Move that the Board of Education designate Yo and Yo as the auditor for the year ending June 30, 2025. Is that the right year?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
2025?
because they just finished the audit for 24.
Oh,
End
so
of the
it does
fiscal year.
end this year.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just
Well, it
making
was 23-24 school year. So we're in 24-25.
five.
Yep,
Okay, so I
that's
was just
correct.
making sure. Okay,
Thank you, Vice President Lee.
you will.
Okay, that takes us to item 15, which is our second public comment portion of the evening. And we have a couple of members of the public wishing to address the board. And I will read the public comment protocol and invite those members of the public up to address the Board of Education. Pursuant to Board of Education Policy 0167.3, the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express their views. Please limit statements to 3 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. No person may address or question board members individually, and all remarks shall be made in a respectful and professional manner. Jeremy Haley, thank you.
Talking to Dr. Martin as for help with, takes of it. And it's kind of close the size of the local community event that we plan from the city, park. Puts on it now at Ford Lake Park. And to say, because of Johnny Lawrence, of course, Johnny Lawrence Summer Jazz Series. It goes on for 10 weeks. Great thing for the vision care, camp people. Coincide with Friday night, 7 and 9. And then get them out in the community. Get experience that. Great people, great people. I've heard kids to get out, especially jazz, mention jazz. I personally had it for a number of years, and I played the guitar. Yeah, you really showed me more of what I can do.
talking to Dr. Mark, that's what we call up and say, hey, we come in for a day for us to thank you. Those are good. They love it. Especially getting paid those angles and stuff. But it's just, I think it's good for the community that we get from our people that go. And with that said, we've already been here. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
And,
that.
that's what you guys have to know.
Thank you for your comment, Jeremy. Next, we have Veronica.
Welcome to brand new board members and welcome back, Dr. Harper.
Thank you.
So that was one of the things. As some remember, a year ago, on Thursday, I asked if there is something that the group if they are able to work with the city to get better rates. I see so many of our high school students asking over and it's the so I don't know if there is something that possible. It's not, it can't just be accident that the parents need. The board's help with everything. There's only so much that welcome.
Thank you, Veronica, for your comments this evening. Those were the only comments we had this evening. So that takes us to item 16, which is board superintendent comments. Board members, do you have any comments this evening? Trustee Goodrich.
Thank you, Madam President. I just have two quick ones. I want to congratulate the district and Principal Zach Schutz and Principal Leslie Davis on the work that the whole community at Holmes and at Ypsilanti Community Middle School and that our district as a whole has done, and that was showcased in the YCS Benchmark Review Structured Conference in December. And I just want to shout out those schools and those leaders for not just meeting their goals, but really setting the bar and just going to bat every day for our scholars. So that was really, really exciting. And I'm so proud of the work that all of the schools in our district are doing. And then I want to thank Trustee Sutton Kennedy for highlighting the MEJC training that's coming up on January 29th from 6 to 7:30 on the Open Meetings Act. And thank you to Ms. Haynes for sharing that along with us in our emails. I think OMA is a thing I'm still learning about, so I'm looking forward to that training.
Thank you, Trustee Goodrich. Other board comments?
Yes, congratulations again to all of the new board members, returning board members. Happy Founder's Day to the Deltas that's sitting at the table. We appreciate you. My Soror Zeta Phi Beta will be on Thursday. I want to say thank you to everybody that had a hand in our board gifts. You all are getting better and better every day. My wardrobe is nice right now with YCS. But I also thank you, Julie, for the calendar. I do ask that we, if possible, you could put like this helps me out a lot, graduation. And I I know the Black History series is coming on there. Those are very important things. And anything that, like, we definitely have to, you want a big show of support from the board on. I see that we do have the Jazz in the Park and all that stuff that originated here that is on the calendar and stuff. So, and then the back to school bash. If you all have those dates in mind, because I know we really like to have board participation on those things, that would be great. Also, I would like to also make it known to the board that I was selected to be a part of the advisory board for STEM Ed for Eastern Michigan University. And that's the partnership with Lincoln and Toyota. So we had a great first meeting. We about to put them to work, y'all. Right, so yes, it's gonna be shining. So it was a great experience for that first meeting, and we're just really excited to work with Dr. Collins and her team at Eastern. Other than that, I look forward to the new year and all that's coming along with that. You all keep us working as usual, and thank you to our staff and our teachers, our leaders, again, for your continued support. So let's do this.
Thank you, Trustee Townsend. Yes, Trustee Fields.
Yes, so again, these are really nice. I'm not really big in the kitchen though, but I'll figure it out. But these are
Just pass it
it's really nice. I know, just cut it up, right? Just cut it up. But yes, these are nice. As always, they always outdo themselves, you know. And what is really exciting is the fact that they were students and with that they weren't brought. So they're able to use, like you said, utilize their skills. They can make these and sell these. I'm just saying, but that's a good thing. I had an opportunity as well to attend the sneakers bar at the middle school. I took pictures, but it was a beautiful thing to be able to see the babies, you know, showing off their shoes. I thought I'll switch up the pictures this time so they could show their shoes, so they'll be able to appreciate that. So that was well done and well put together. I know the weather probably stopped many people from coming because it kind of snowed Friday night, but Dr. Elena Zachary Ross was there with her red kicks on. I'm just saying, but she looked good, and so she was there, and I also had an opportunity just to attend a couple of basketball games. If you guys don't get out there, you know me, I like the sports and stuff, but I need a schedule so I can go to other things as well besides basketball. And I want to ditto what Trustee Townsend said about the calendar. If we can also get some that, I know these calendars aren't that big, but just getting something a little bit more, I don't know, user friendly, I like, with the different activities within the schools, you know, and because I know that I was speaking to a couple people, they said they sent some things over. I know we might be busy, but I know that some people didn't even know about a lot of these things that were going on. They said they sent them over, but we hadn't heard as a board. And I know, you know, so we can just, communication again is key. You know, if we can just be just more mindful of the communication with what they're sending over. And if they're not doing it correctly, then maybe have that conversation as well with them. That's great. But I'm just saying, you know, if there's a breakdown in something in there, but I just think it's just really exciting that we know about them. And if we can make it to that, because I think some of them here, they'll say they never see any of us at this stuff, but we can't be seeing at things we don't know about, you know. So I just want to make sure that we just get a little bit more, you know, in that area going. And that's all I have.
They
And
just
again,
started the new year though, I gotta tell you, because at the first meeting of the year, we really reiterated it, and literally that was last week, and we got a bunch of them. So you're
Great.
gonna be getting them.
Okay.
'Cause we literally just, the first meeting of the year, we hit it hard, so that you're gonna get them. Julie's putting them in the, what is it you put them in? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, she's getting it for you.
But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, I like to see the babies and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, welcome to our new board trustees. Welcome, welcome. And you never left, but glad to have you back with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Hawkins.
I appreciate that.
Yep, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Fields. Trustee Goodrich.
I need to make a correction. I'm so embarrassed. It's late and I got my Principal Davises mixed up. I wanted to congratulate Ace. I'm looking at Ms. Tillerson here. It is Ace and Principal Leslie Davis. I wanted to congratulate on the amazing performance at the YCS Benchmark Review Structured Conference. So I just wanted to correct that.
We knew what you
meant.
But thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for the warm welcome into the board. and as well as the community for entrusting us with these roles. And I will do my best to meet those expectations. And thank you again for the warm welcome from the community, from the school district, from the board. We really appreciate it from Dr. Zachary Ross. Thank you.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy.
I also wanted to thank you, everyone, especially the sitting board members for warm welcome, Dr. Zachary Ross and administration and educators for taking the time out to orient us and onboard us and give us all the information. Just the few meetings that we've had already has been really great to learn about the level of intentionality and thought and purpose that has been going on behind the scenes with all the decision making. And I'm really impressed and honored to be able to serve with you all.
Thank you, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Other board comments?
I do. It's my question, and I'm not sure if this up, but I was gonna ask, and I kind of sent out a link, but there was a survey done with the schools. Did I send that to you guys? Anybody have a chance to look at it? I was concerned. It was ran at MLive last week about the numbers and where we're looking at as far as our rating. No?
And that's the one benchmark assessment that she went to that MDE said it was excellent. We were the top, the one that they actually went to, that's what she was just saying, which was unbelievable.
So you know, the one that I saw was, we did not look good in that. Are we looking at the same thing?
Yeah, we are the exception in Washtenaw County. We are the one
in the whole state.
Yeah.
That's why.
And that's not good, because what I'm looking at doesn't say that. You know what I'm saying? And it's talking about the numbers, and it's saying that they reached out to our middle school principal, they get a return call, and those numbers weren't good. So I'm just wanted to know, you know.
But this is why a board member was at the meeting with the state. And MLive did not reach out. Julie was here the whole break. So, and was available. I was available. And it was not our normal MLive reporter, but that's why I'm glad a board member was at the benchmark assessment. Who was here with the state, who was here with the WISD superintendent and all of us, and who was able to share tonight how our assessment actually went.
Right.
That person was not here.
And I don't know what they're using.
Doesn't even know how to read the index.
Right. But yeah.
Like, so
right, but I'm just saying, so what they
grateful
were,
that she-
I don't know what they were reading, but I just wanted to, because I never
That's
got
why
any
I'm glad
feedback
she
from
was here.
anybody and stuff, so.
That article was, even the things they got right, they managed to word so confusingly that it made the outcome seem the opposite.
So my ask for the district is we need to have them correct what, if you're gonna report correctly. Because when you report incorrectly, it's going to put you in a situation that you don't want to be in. So I'm trying to be very professional at this moment, but they need to be checked.
I just wanted some clarity, because I put the link on our thing and nobody responded, and I'm like, okay, I know somebody's seeing this besides me. I'm just saying. Okay.
But that was why the backhanded compliment of only Ypsilanti Community Schools did well. They wrote that one line in there.
But the article I saw was not that we did well. We didn't do anything
they
well.
put the
You know what I
one
mean?
line. It does say the one line, and that was, and so we talked to Lambert, and they were like, they're gonna bring undue negative attention. So they were like,
Okay, I just want clarity, because you know I'm about community. I'm about communication.
Absolutely.
And when we don't have that, and I
well, we
just wanted
didn't,
to
we
get
haven't gotten
feedback on that.
our official final letter. So Dr. Lopez is gonna do his 99B presentation, and so that was why we were like, okay.
Yes.
And they are trying to always make us look bad.
Yep. So thank you, Trustee Fields, for sending it. Thank you for bringing it up. And I think I can only speak for myself, but certainly I did not comment. But I had a conversation about it. It's just disappointing, right? We know what we are doing as a district. We know what's happening. We're right here. We're talking to people. We're reporting. We're sharing all of our successes, not shying away from our challenges, talking about our opportunities and ways we need to grow and things we need to do better. So it is disappointing, and there may be more to come, right? So I think as a community, as a district, we just have to be prepared to continue to speak truth to the powerful work that's happening in our district. We have the data to back it up. We just want our partners who are reporting to do it accurately, to do it fairly, and to represent our district and put us in a positive light when it's needed. So work to be done in that area with that relationship. I don't know the reporter necessarily, so I hope they would come to a board meeting and talk to us and not pull pieces from. I'm not really sure where all of that came from. And so anytime I'll see something, I may even reach out to say if a board member might have been quoted or not even, I might just reach out to say, well, did they check this, with you? So that's just something that we all as a board to stay connected with each other, to talk about things that we might see. And if we need to go back and do whatever we need to do to build positive relationships and continue to talk about the good work we're doing, that is what we will do. No one's gonna dim YCS's light, even if they try. We're too bright. They can't do it. They might try, but they won't. So thank you for sharing that. Other board comments, I only have a couple. Thank you to the community for being here this evening. Happy New Year, everyone. It was a great break. I know everybody is glad to be back. Our educators, our leaders are in the classroom in our buildings doing great work, and kicking 2025 off with a bang. So I just am excited about all that's ahead for us and over this new year. Congratulations to Trustee Sutton Kennedy, to Trustee Espy. It is great to have you as part of our team, and we look forward to working with you. I'm back and I'm glad to be here. Thank you all for having me back. It's gonna be a great year, a great 6 years. And I think that's all I had to say. Oh, thank you, Julie. Miss Haynes, thank you for the calendar. Yes, this is a great resource so we can start to plug things in. And I know as a district, as dates come from our buildings and they get to administration, then those dates will come to the board, and then we can start plugging things in on our calendar so that we can start have representation at some of these events. So thank you for putting this together for us. We appreciate it. Thank you. Superintendent Zachary Ross.
Thank you. Again, happy Board Appreciation Month. I'm just appreciative of each one of you, of Judge Washington. I'm coming today, and welcome to our new board members. And again, congratulations to all 3 of you. Thank you again to Trustee Fields for being there. You should have seen her working her magic with all of those young folks at the sneaker ball. We have really started off 2025 strong. As she said, the athletic department, they pulled off some strong games this last week. They're nail biters, and our students really support each other. Our JV cheerleaders even did a pyramid the other day. Like they're really coming through. So just looking to just continue to support them. This morning, we opened up the early Head Start classroom over at Beatty. That was exciting. The student who taught, our CTE student who spoke at the board meeting for Michigan Department of Ed, was asked to come back and speak. Yes, they did such a wonderful job. So they're going to go back to Michigan Department of Ed and speak and represent not only Ypsilanti Community Schools, but Washtenaw County. Our students, we're speaking at the auto show with Toyota on Wednesday, and one of our middle school students is going to speak on the panel with Toyota. So that's exciting on Wednesday. And then our students are going to be able to go to visit. So we have students from both ACE and YCHS are going to go there with Mr. Kim and some students at ACE. I'm just excited about already, like we didn't have to wait for 2025. They're just already moving and thriving. So I'm just looking forward to what else. It's just every day, as you said, every day there's something. They're like, oh, we're doing this. And just truly, they're energized and ready to go. And so our students will continue to lead the work that we, and push us to continue to, when you see those words, strive, drive, and thrive on the front of our plan, we really were thinking about the fact that we're moving. And so we're excited about what's happening in 2025. And I'm just thankful again, as I see Charlotte here at 10 minutes to 10, and she's like ready, like I'm here. And I know that it is the work that our teachers and all the educators are doing in the classrooms that are making a difference for our scholars. So I just say thank you to all of them, and let's just continue to work together. And so we know we couldn't do it without the support of the board. So thank you to our board and to the team.
Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. I forgot to say two things. Thank you for such a delicious dinner.
And now it's the chef. So thank you, chef, for the dinner.
Thank you, chef. Thank you, chef. We appreciate it. And I didn't say thank you for this lovely gift. I did say it, but I just want to say it again. I'm just so excited about this. And Trustee Fields, if you don't have any use for your charcuterie board, just. Oh, well, if you change your mind. All right. All right, board members, if there is no other business or comments or questions, we went long tonight because it's our organizational meeting. Normally our board meetings do not go this long. So I appreciate everyone for hanging with us, the community for staying, and I hope that you all have a great week. Have a good night. We are adjourned at 9:53 p.m.